In 1970, Latinos were a mere 5% of the population. And yet at that time, they were 20% of the fatalities in Vietnam. As young Mexican Americans, we called ourselves Chicanos during that time period, with a great sense of identity and ethnic pride. And so that summer, many of us were involved in these efforts called the Chicano Moratorium, the efforts of Chicanos to stop the war and to stop the over-presence of Chicanos as the fatalities of that war.
1970, porque empieza mi identidad pública chicano y empieza la idea de una obligación a la comunidad, no solo a mí personal o a mi familia, pero también la responsabilidad de nosotros líderes tenemos para trabajar por la comunidad. Y esta idea, este valor empieza esta fecha del 29 de agosto de 1970.
Something like 7,000 Mexican Americans had died in Vietnam, and the boxes, aluminum boxes, were coming back to East LA, and we were saying, well, what's going on? Why are so many of us dying in Vietnam? And so we wanted to bring a stop to that, but also we wanted to bring a stop to the police brutality in East Los Angeles, and that's why we got involved to demonstrate, to voice our opinion. The demonstration is a poor man's press to express our grievances. And the moratorium itself, on August 29, 1970, I would say to some degree was a showdown between the police and the community, because the police came and they tried to clear the park. They came in hitting people on the head, arresting people. I think 500 people were arrested. The people had no choice but to fight back. One riot turned into three more riots, and it just continued on to this point where Ruben Salazar stopped here at the Silver Dollar at this location, and he was shot in the head by a tear gas projectile, which killed him.
So, I mean, we went from exuberance and excitement and, great unity and pride to then being attacked and being, fearful, scared, being, extremely conscious about things that were going on around us, watching the police, club people, looking at the tear gas grenades and trying to avoid them, trying to move people around so that they could be safe. And it was, it was chaotic. And, at some point, they overwhelmed the park, and I took off running right down the street. And then a car just pulled up on me and my friends. And fortunately, I was a pretty good athlete then, and I was able to just scale the fence and run into a house where people were opening up their doors for people to come in. And they served us, water and coffee and chocolate, and they shared their food with us. And everybody was talking about the Chicano movement and police brutality and all these things. And, mostly I listened because I was young and I was learning.
I was co-chairman of the Chicano Moratorium Committee and put it together. The Brown Berets is a civil rights organization to make sure that things can take place in regards to the protection of our community, in regards to our civil and cultural rights. So it's very important to bring back the cultural rights, especially in the schools, but also to bring back our civil rights in the streets so we are respected with dignity. I was with Ruben Salazar at the park when the riot took place. He's a lifetime reporter. He dedicated his whole life to writing stories about Chicanos and writing stories about La Raza. And he came out here to California and became a reporter and a prize-winning reporter for the Los Angeles Times.
To me, he's a hero. Those days, they were very racist. They were very, you know how it must have been. And he changed all that. He was our voice, and they took him away.
There's in many ways a voice for the changes that came, a person who could see it and then articulate it for our community. That kind of generational change that took place in the way we saw the world as Mexican Americans, and who saw that not were we only going to be focused on assimilation, but we were also going to protest, we were also going to speak out. And so it's a great loss to lose an incredible leader like that. And appropriately, there are parks and schools, libraries named after him, as they should be.
Ruben Salazar, did not go in vain. I mean, as a result of what happened that day, it had impact on society, and it brought an end, helped to bring an end to the war in Vietnam, but it also started opening the doors in the colleges and universities, and also started opening jobs, started opening up in the city and the federal government and the state government.
There were so many great leaders who emerged from this, and we need to understand that we should be proud of what we had done as organized this incredible peaceful protest against the war. And also acknowledge many of the great figures who came from there. You know, Gloria Molina was here, Richard Alatorre, Esteban Torres, my mentors at the time, Antonio Hernandez, who was in college, Samuel Paz, Maria Elena Yepes, Luis Garza. There are just incredible people who were here, who went on to stay engaged and involved, and that we as a community need to continue to do that.
What happened over the years, over the 50 years, things have gone back, and we've lost a lot of the gains that we got in the past.
We need to be unified, we need to stay focused, we take advantage of our advantages. We have an ability to make peaceful change in this country in November, and we need it as urgent as can be. And so we need to take advantage of the power of the vote for the interests of our community, for kids in cages, for 7,000 kids separated from their families, for people who are still being killed, shot by the police unnecessarily, for an opportunity to have a quality education. Those things still remain our goals, our hopes, and our aspirations, and we should continue to fight for that.
To save lives, it's important to have movement.
I used to be very, you know, to myself conservative, but I still did activism. And it's changed me totally, like overnight. And I have a granddaughter that's a teacher, and she's going for Chicano studies. So I'm gonna give all my material that I have to her so she could teach it. Chicano power, everywhere and anywhere. That's never going away. And I don't want the youth, you know, to have that diminish out of their lives, because that's very important. That's their identity.
It's very important to bring back the cultural rights, especially in the schools, but also to bring back our civil rights in the streets so we are respected with dignity.
We've learned that it's important for us to keep our eyes on the prize, to have a vision and stay focused. I think we see an expression, a manifestation of a desire for unity between communities, obviously with young people, the African American community and the young Latinos, young Chicanos. And I hope that we take from this event the lessons that we learned, and that is to be organized, to be unified, to register to vote, and to vote. We can make those changes. The power of the vote is an incredible, peaceful tool for social change in our country, and we need to use it. Hoy, el poder de Chicano es el voto. Nosotros tenemos una perspectiva más grande. Estamos, aceptan que en parte somos una comunidad, un pueblo inmigrante. También aceptan que tenemos una gran historia aquí de décadas, de muchos años, ¿no? Y nosotros estamos hoy con una perspectiva más grande, internacional, pero todavía tenemos los problemas de nuestra comunidad, en nuestras comunidades. Acceso a la educación, una batalla contra los abusos de la policía, ¿no? Y queremos, justicia por todos que viven aquí. These protesters and dreamers are going to be the future political, social, and cultural leaders of our community. So let's understand that and embrace that and applaud that. But remember, you're trying to make change and influence people. And that's not easy. That's a lifelong endeavor for many of us. And so be constructive, be positive, and be safe.